All right, in lesson 28, the second topic is called functional notation. And I'm going to begin with an equation that you can see on the screen. And you can see that the equation is y equals x plus 2. Now, this is something that we'll have coming up because you'll notice that up to this point we've been kind of working with one letter. So we've had expressions like x plus 2, and then we had to evaluate those if, say, for example, if we knew that if x is equal to 3, what would this expression give us? Well, we substitute 3 in for x, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So that would give us a value of 5 when we evaluate it. Now, notice in the example on the screen that I had before, I had y is equal to x plus 2. And really what this is called a function, or we call this functional notation. And really that sounds complicated, but it's really not. All this is a fancy way of saying that whenever whatever we put in for x and add 2 to it, we're going to get the value of y. So let me simplify that up. If we put, let's use the value up here. If I put 3 in for x, and I have 3 plus 2, well, whatever 3 plus 2 is, which is 5, that's going to give me y. So y is actually equal to 5. If I put, say, 4 in for x, what would y give me? And I'm going to erase the previous value. Well, 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. So in this situation, y is equal to 6. So y is really, the value of y is determined by whatever we put in for x. And that's just a way of saying, all right, whatever the value of x is going to determine what y is. And this is called functional notation. Now, sometimes we even take it a step further, and instead of using y over on the left side, we might say f of x equals x plus 2. This is just another way of writing it. And again, I'd read that as f of x equals x plus 2. So for example, if x is equal to 7, well, I'm going to find what f of 7 is. And all I do is I put 7 in for x. And I have 7 plus 2. So what's f of 7? Well, f of 7, notice I just keep the same label. F of 7 is equal to, well, 7 plus 2 is 9. And this is called functional notation. It looks like a difficult concept, but really it's an easy concept once you get used to it. Just don't make it for yourself. Let's take a look at example 1. Now in this situation we have g of x. All right, we want to find g of x, and I made a mistake here. I can see I'm going to erase this part over here. I guess I can't, so I'm going to have to, let's see, so I'm going to change this to, I'm going to kind of blank that out. So find g of a negative 1. Okay. Now, if g of x equals x squared minus 3, find g of a negative 1. All right, so I'm going to take, I want to put negative 1 in for x, so I'm going to find g of a negative 1. So I'm going to take x, which is negative 1, and I'm going to square it, and I'm going to subtract 3 from it. So I'm still finding what g of a negative 1 is. So really all I'm doing is I'm evaluating the right side of the equal sign. That's all I'm doing. Over on this side, it's just a label. All right, so a negative 1 squared, so a negative 1 times negative 1 is 1 minus 3. So what's g of a negative 1? Well, 1 minus 3. 1 take away 3 is a negative 2. So g of a negative 1, or in other words, when we put a negative 1 in for x, over on this side, I get a value of a negative 2. And we're done. That's all it is. Let's take a look at the next example. All right, in example 2, I have g of x is equal to x parentheses x squared minus 3. Find g of 2. So what's this mean? I'm going to put 2 in wherever I see an x. So I'm going to find g of 2. And on the right side, I'm going to place 2 in wherever I have x. So I'm going to put a 2 in for the x. I'm going to square it. So I'm going to put that in parentheses, minus 3. Now, PEMDAS, is there any work inside the parentheses? Yes. So inside these parentheses, I have work to be done. Now, inside the parentheses, I got to make sure I use my order of operations. Do I do the exponent or do I subtract? Well, exponents come before subtraction. So continuing, g of 2 is equal to 2 times, let's see, 2 squared is 4, minus the 3. So g of 2 is equal to 2 times 1. And finally, g of 2 is equal to 2. So my answer is 2. This is the label. So this is called functional notation. It's an introduction to some things that you'll have more of in Algebra 2. And again, don't make this difficult. Just understand that all we're doing is we're just taking whatever the value is for x, placing it in over on the right side of the equation, and finding the answer to it, evaluating it. The left side is just a label.